Guys, what's up? My name is Dom Clark with PUKANA Paramotoring. If you're watching this video, you're probably interested in doing some winter flying, and I don't blame you. Winter seems to be the times when I get the most rewarding flights. So what we're going to do in this video is break down how I prepare for cold weather flying. Let's begin. First of all, we're going to start down to the basics. When you're flying in the cold, it's important to add lots of layers. These layers are going to keep the air tight to your body and insulate your heat, keep that heat close in to your core. These base layers can be made out of synthetic material or merino wool. The purpose of this base layer is to draw moisture away from your body and to keep that layer of heat tight to your body. Important to note is that you're trying to pick layers that are not going to decrease your mobility and are going to be light. Next layer that we're going to add on top of that is going to be a good pair of socks, like these. The nice thing with wool socks is that they're thick, they're going to keep that heat close to your body, their R value is really good, and they're moisture wicking. So just like our base layer, a wool base layer, wool socks is going to keep you really happy. Going on top of that, we're going to do our pants. And when you're picking out a good outer layer for your pants, you're looking for something that's going to be non-permeable to the wind. So it's going to block out all that wind that's coming through as you're flying, and that's going to keep that heat close to your body. If you're more cold adverse or you're flying in colder weather, you may want to add a layer in between this base layer and your outer shell, like a pair of sweats or something like that. Just note that if you do, it does decrease mobility and add weight. It's also going to decrease the ability that you have to wick moisture away from your body. So what I like to do is an outer shell like this that is insulated on top of my base layer, and that keeps me pretty happy. Next layer on top on our torso. A flannel like this is going to do perfect keeping that heat insulated on top of that base layer. Notice that I'm not going for heavy bulky layers, rather lots of small light layers. Now you can wear a flannel or a hoodie, each will do the same. Hoodie is going to be a little heavier and a little bit more restrictive in movement, so I prefer a flannel and it works just fine. On top of this flannel layer, we're going to do a puffy jacket. Puffy jacket has to be my favorite insulated tool that I use when I fly. Puffy jackets are light, they allow for a ton of agility, ton of mobility, but their R value is really, really good. So I recommend getting a puffy jacket that's around 650 to 800 downfill. It's going to keep you really happy and really warm, and go on top of the other two layers that you already have. On top of this layer, we're going to add our outside shell. A good outside shell is crucial to your flying. What this shell is going to do is it's going to keep moisture out, it's going to keep wind out, and it's going to keep all that heat that you spent protecting with those base layers inside tight to your body. What you're looking for in a shell doesn't necessarily have to be insulated, but it can be. But what you're looking for is a solid shell that's going to keep the wind out, non-permeable to wind. Just like your pants, you want your pants to be a protective shell, you want your outside jacket to be a protective shell. On top of this, we need a good pair of boots. Now what I want to show you really quick is there's a lot of ways to go with footwear. One of the hard things is not going too bulky and overdoing it too much, especially for you foot launch guys. For foot launch, I like to have a boot that's going to be fairly agile and fairly light. And what I've chosen is the Vans MTE. It's made out of Gore-Tex. It's completely non-permeable to the wind. It's waterproof, but it is light. It's got a lot of good traction on it, but it's not a heavy steel-toe boot. Remember, we're trying to go for agility, not extra weight, but we do need to protect our body, so a good boot like this. And finally, headgear. What do you put on your head? Well, you have a helmet, and the helmet's going to do a real good job of insulating and keeping heat within your head, but it's not going to do a perfect job. You've got a lot of exposed area like your ears, the front of your face, your mouth, and whatnot, and your neck. So what I like to do for headgear is a neck gaiter similar to this. So you'll notice with this neck gaiter that it comes down, it protects the neck so you can tuck it into your shell. It allows for plenty of agility, but it also keeps that wind directly off of your skin. The other thing about this neck gaiter is that it's a full hood, so it goes all the way over your head, covers your ears. That's going to help insulate the heat loss that you're going to lose otherwise through your head underneath your helmet. The other nice thing with it is that it has a face mask covering, which is easy and accessible while in flight. Pull that over your face and keep that wind burn off your face. A little bit better than a bandana that you're constantly adjusting and trying to keep on your head. This is going to keep it all nice and tight. On top of that, we're going to use a pair of full face goggles. What's nice with these goggles is that they allow for your peripheral vision really, really well, and they're covering a good majority of the face that's left uncovered. Once you have your face mask up, you're completely protected with the helmet. And finally, the last piece of gear that is probably one of the most important pieces of gear is a good pair of gloves. Now, what I recommend when you're doing winter flying is getting a pair of heated gloves that have the heat element that goes all the way out throughout the palm, all the way out into the fingers. The dangerous part is if you get a pair of gloves and just intend to use these heat pads, they're not going to heat the fingers. And so when you fly, your hands are above the heart for the duration of the flight, you're going to lose blood flow to these extremities, and you're going to lose your finger dexterity. Losing your finger dexterity is going to be an obvious problem because you're not going to have awareness of where that throttle is. And you're going to start losing awareness of where your brake pressure is, and that can cause obvious issues. So getting a good pair of heated gloves that you like, that last a long time, and are rechargeable is going to be integral in your winter flying. And that's it. That's my winter setup. That's how I fly. So just to recap, we've got a good pair of heated gloves. We got a nice outer shell that keeps the wind out. Underneath the outer shell, a puffy jacket. Underneath the puffy jacket, we got a hoodie or a flannel. Underneath the flannel, we have a wool base layer that's tight to the skin. Up on my neck, I have the neck gaiter with the head hood and a face cover. Underneath my pants, I've got, well, the pants, of course, the outer shell and the pants, which are non-permeable to the wind. Underneath these pants, I could have either a pair of sweatpants or just straight down to my wool base layer that's tight to my body. Then down to my socks, I've got a thick pair of wool socks that's going to keep my feet warm. And on top of that, I've got a pair of boots that are non-permeable to the wind and are going to keep that wind chill out. And that's my winter setup. I hope this helps. I hope this gives you guys an idea how you guys can continue to fly throughout the whole winter. Safe flying, and we'll see you up in the air.